Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural, dry-aged USDA, prime Angus, and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, a big welcome to everybody listening in on our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates and independents from coast to coast. Everybody watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wild Charter, and independent cable affiliates. Thanks for joining us as well in select markets. Also, Hotel TV where applicable, and everybody's streaming. By the way, at the top of the show here, Vacation Buddies is giving away a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas or in Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri. If you can answer a simple trivia question. If so, call the number after the question and claim your 2 free nights in Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri. Here's the question. Which of these NBA superstars won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Larry Bird, C, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want to give you a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri. If you know the answer to that question, if so, 888-576-5777. Call now. All right, down to business. We're going to say it like that because we can. That proverbial college football playoff ranking, and I say it like that because it's a broken system. I mean, look, until you can bring 16 teams to the table to compete, there's just some questions that are out there left, and you wonder, well, what the heck is going to happen here? And according to the bracket, I see some real issues. But let's do this. Let's take the top 25 as they stand right now, according to the CFP. So there are some issues with, well, let's go to number 25. Here's where the controversy starts. Number 25, James Madison, they're 11-1. North Texas is 24 at 11-1. They sit behind Iowa, a 4-loss team. Georgia Tech, a 3-loss team at 22. Houston, a 3-loss team at 21. Tulane is number 20, and apparently that's another question. So the real questions here that I have are Tulane, North Texas, and James Madison. Moving on, Michigan, a 3-loss team, number 19. Arizona, a 3-loss team, number 18. Virginia, a 2-loss team, is number 17. We're going to get back to them in a moment. USC, a 3-loss team, 16. Utah, a good 2-loss team at number 15. Vanderbilt, a really good 2-loss team at number 14. Texas, a 3-loss team. Yes, a 3-loss team is ahead of all those other ones at number 13. Miami is where the cutoff is, apparently. I say apparently for a reason here. That's a bubble team because really you have the Power Four, you have some other squads in there. but the best group of 5 is going to take the 12th slot. Now, we don't even know about 11 just yet, but right now, 12 is occupied by Miami in the CFP. Brigham Young occupies the 11th spot at 11-1, and they sit behind Notre Dame at number 10, and BYU has to play a conference title game where Notre Dame doesn't have to in the first place. So how the hell could they be in this if they don't even play a conference title game? And that's a bunch of garbage. All right, so Alabama, a 2-loss team, number 9. Oklahoma, 2-loss team, number 8. And then everybody else has 1 loss or less. Texas A&M, they just lost to Texas. Somehow that keeps Texas in the 13th slot, which doesn't make sense. They're a 3-loss team where Vanderbilt should be ahead of them. No question. Much tougher schedule and better wins, right? Moving on. And then it is Ole Miss at 11-1, number 6. Oregon, 11-1, number 5. Texas Tech, a very good squad at 11-1, number 4. Georgia, 11-1, number 3. And then Indiana, arguably the best team in the country at 12-0, and Ohio State at number 1. Why are we squabbling about this? And why do we keep doing it? I'm going to tell you why. Looking at the college football playoff bracket, and this is where the chaos begins. When I look at this, I just say, well, why is it that we have an ongoing issue? I'm going to tell you why we have an issue. Because when we look at the first round matchups, first round with number 8 and number 9, where Alabama would travel to Oklahoma, the winner to play Ohio State. Now, the other matchups with Notre Dame and Texas A&M, Texas A&M would host those guys and the winner to play Indiana. Now, Ole Miss would be hosting a game right now as it stands, but that's going to change potentially because Virginia has to play in the conference title game against, you guessed it, the Duke Blue Devils. Yes! And why does that matter? Well, it matters because we think of the conference champion. Hey, listen, it's not inconceivable that an ACC champion with 5 losses could end up in this playoff because they are a Power 4 and they will get one of the seats in the grand scheme of things. So they should get one. And I guess the biggest question over and above that is who is number 12? Right now, at the moment, it is Tulane that is slotted in that particular spot. Tulane at number 12 being allegedly the best group of 5 team, which I don't believe they are. And if you say, well, how come Tulane isn't the best group of 5 team? I mean, look, let's think about this. First of all, they're out of the AAC, the American Athletic. Now, last I checked, it's Tulane with not 1 loss, but 2 losses. One of them is in conference, and that was to University of Texas San Antonio, the Roadrunners. And in fact, the Roadrunners beat them 48-26. And that is the day before Halloween. So that's a late season game. Now, the other loss that Tulane had, they got pounded a month previous by Ole Miss, 45-10. So in 2 games, you have 45 and then you got 48. You got 93, and they scored 10 against Ole Miss. They scored 26, 93-36. They got their asses kicked sideways. And you say, well, okay, well, they played good teams. Yes, they did. But then again, the other teams in question that could occupy that 12 slot, let's go to North Texas, because North Texas is the team that they're playing in the AAC championship. And you say, well, all right, what did North Texas do? Better yet, they only have 1 loss. And when you look at North Texas's loss, you go all the way back to, well, shoot. Let's see when it was here. All right, so I've got it here. Listen, folks, this is live. Anything could happen. All right, so looking at the schedule, North Texas lost back in October, if I'm not mistaken. No, or was it September? They lost on October 10th to South Florida. And that was at home. That was a home loss. It was a a very tough team, but they got creamed 63-36. So they had a decent schedule. And North Texas, well, they sit somehow ahead of James Madison, which this is where the big controversy for me starts. Because if you look at James Madison, their only loss was in week number 1. Because there's week 0, then there's week 1, I guess. And you look back to where they lost and who they lost to, well, guess what? They lost a very tough game, and it came down to a possession against Louisville at Louisville. And Louisville was in the ACC all the way till the last week in the ACC championship picture. And so you ask yourself, who had the best loss? Who had the worst loss? James Madison clearly had the best loss. And it was way back at the beginning of the season. So it's James Madison right now. If they win their championship game, that would be the Sun Belt Championship. You say, well, if they beat the men of Troy, which I think they're going to absolutely crush the men of Troy, they should be in because North Texas and Tulane will play each other. If Tulane loses, now they're a 3-loss team. If North Texas wins, well, they won the title in the conference, but they're still not a better squad than James Madison. And I believe the only way that the committee is going to let James Madison in is if North Texas wins and James Madison wins. Because then you're going to go head-to-head, and James Madison had a better year. The whole thing is just a complete disaster. I want to come back with this in just a few minutes here on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come. Don't go anywhere.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-0100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. store without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Excellent.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com. Check them out, folks. All right, welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our affiliates, including our friends waking up with us over in Atlanta, WDJY 99.1 FM. Right down the road over in Auburn, Alabama, Columbus, Georgia, Montgomery, Alabama, that whole area. WAUD, that is 1230 on the AM dial, home of the Atlanta Braves. And, of course, they carry us at 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. Welcome in everybody else up and down the Midwest, out to the West Coast. Those driving along Interstate 15 between sunny Southern California and right here in Las Vegas. Listening in on Highway Country Radio, 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM. Home of the Vegas Golden Knights, the Raiders, and, of course, the Sports Circus at 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. Hello to our friends up and down the West Coast, all the way out to Honolulu, CBS Sports 1500 KHKA. That is home of the 49ers, home of the Yankees, and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Plus, all those watching on Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wild Charter, and independent cable affiliates in select markets from coast to coast. Hotel TV, thanks for joining us there. Everybody streaming. Also, everybody on Chicago Food Favorites. Check out Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. A fun group. Talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes. Make some friends. Have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Now, also, in the beginning of the show, we read an opportunity for you to travel and have some hotel stay for free right here in Las Vegas, Branson, Missouri, or in Orlando, Florida, if you knew the answer to a simple trivia question. Now, in case you're just tuning in, I'm going to repeat the question, and there's a phone number after it. Call the number and claim your 2 free nights in Vegas, Branson, Missouri, or Orlando, Florida. Which of these NBA superstars, Hall of Famers, won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Larry Bird, C, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want you to travel, have a good time right here in Vegas, Branson, Missouri, or Orlando, Florida. If you know the answer to that trivia question, 888-576-5777. Call now. All right, and back to this college football playoff question mark. I mean, it's a big question mark because, look, I raised the question, and here's the thing. What I did was in the last segment, I talked a little bit about James Madison, Tulane, and the North Texas Mean Green. So North Texas and Tulane have to play each other in the AAC championship game. James Madison will play the Men of Troy. They will destroy the Men of Troy in their game for the Sun Belt Championship. However, thinking about why it would be one team over another, or even possibly none of them. Actually, they have to have a group of 5, the best one, allegedly. So here's a funny thing. What I did was I just did an AI overview and asked about seed number 12, the 12th seeded team. And it said on your favorite search engine, mine that actually rhymes with noodle is the one, of course, that I used. In any event, so this is what I came up with, and I think you should do the same thing. It says The projected number 12 team for the 12-team college football playoff is North Texas or Tulane, depending on the projection source, with other candidates including Virginia and Alabama. Projections vary, but a consensus shows a likely bracket with number 12 North Texas facing number 5 Texas Tech, or number 12 Tulane playing number 5 Texas Tech, or number 12 Virginia playing number 5 Oregon. That's right. James Madison has been excluded. So they're already saying we don't want them apparently from all the content that's out there. Now this AI is scraping the internet for everything and anything, and this is what they come up with. So they see projections for the 12 seed North Texas appearing in several projections. North Texas is often considered the number 12 seed due to a strong record despite recent losses. Interesting, they say that. Another one is Tulane. Tulane has also been projected as the number 12 seed after beating Memphis to earn the automatic bid. All right, that seems to be a falsehood. Virginia. Some projections have Virginia as the number 12. Alabama was once projected as the number 12 seed, but is now considered unlikely to be the number 12 after its recent loss to Oklahoma. I mean, look, this is current AI that's out there right now. So there's a bunch of mixed messages. It says other candidates, other teams like Brigham Young have been also projected as the number 12 seed. And then they talk about possible matchups. But what they're not considering in here is they're not considering James Madison and some of the other. They're not even considering Duke University because Duke is going to play Virginia for the ACC title. What happens if Duke wins? It gets even muddier. Now, what I did was I added James Madison to that same search, my search, and do it as well. I put CFP number 12 team projection. Then I put James Madison. And so that same AI model says projections place James Madison as the number 12 seed in the college football playoff, which would pit them against number 5 Indiana in the first round. What? So what they're saying in this, they're saying, when they say number 5 Indiana, this is the conundrum. Let me finish this first, then I'm going to get to the Indiana thing. Okay, their path to the spot involves winning the Sun Belt Championship and a favorable outcome in other conference championship games, particularly with a loss from conference champions like Miami. They're not even in the championship game. So this is how convoluted the message is. So CFP number 12 projection for James Madison. It says projected seed number 12, first round opponent number 5, Indiana. Okay, heavy dose of reality here, folks. Right now, number 2 is occupied by Indiana. So what they're saying, there is already rhetoric out there that says Ohio State is going to beat Indiana. And it says, apparently, they're going to go down to seed number 5. Now, if you're a college football bettor, if you like the betting game, this is where all this stuff comes in. What does the money want? That's the next question. Does the money want Indiana out of the top 4 to get a bye? Does the money want Indiana to have to win a game against another squad just to have the right to play one of these other squads? I think that's the question we should be asking ourselves. Because ultimately, when we do sports betting discussion, what is it about? Show me the money! And I'll show you a winner. And I think because there's been so much question about which way the money is going, which team is going to win, we're going to bet on this, we're going to bet on that. There's so much money involved in this, that it would occur to me that this AI picked this up, and you could do the same exact thing. I did it on that search engine that rhymes with noodle. And the reality is, they are saying, now mind you, several days before a football game is even played, that Indiana is going to lose to Ohio State, which personally I have a problem with. That's right. So I don't see how this is put together. There's some credible information out there somewhere. Maybe somebody made a mistake and leaked a little bit of information that they shouldn't have. Oh boy.
My, isn't this an awkward moment?
I would say this is certainly an awkward moment. Maybe a little premature. Now, I'm probably the only one on air on any major stations or whatnot. Look, this is a radio and TV show. This is not a podcast, just so you're aware. So I'm on the FCC airwaves. But the question that I have is, who leaked what? Did anybody leak some information? Because if the AI is saying it, that means there's probably some credible data to back it up, because AI is synonymous with, let's go ahead and scrape the internet for X, Y, and Z. So if that is the case, then they've got Indiana losing, the possibility of James Madison winning, and I think the only way that James Madison would get into this playoff is if North Texas happened to win, dropping Tulane to a 3-loss team. Now, if Tulane wins, right now they occupy the number 12 slot, which is complete lunacy in my opinion, as it looks like on the bracket. But everything could change in the grand scheme of things. So this week is really, really exceedingly important when it comes to what happens with this college football playoff. I just think the fix is in somewhere. And it just seems to me that they don't want James Madison in there, and they certainly being the money. They certainly don't want Indiana to beat those guys from Columbus, Ohio, which I happen to think that Indiana, I think the two best teams in the nation are Indiana and Texas Tech right now, today. You could look up and down these lists. I don't care what list they're on. This ranking, that ranking, whatever. Texas Tech is a really, really tough out. Those guys from Columbus play good defense, but they don't score like you would think. If they get behind, I don't know if they're going to play well from behind. Georgia, they win their games, but they sputter about. Indiana has the same ability that Texas Tech does. When we come back, we're going to talk about the odds for those games coming up this weekend for championship weekend. Don't go anywhere. Lots more to come.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Are you or someone you love struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol and want to be set free from the chains of addiction? Then call Addiction Helpline America right now to get the help you need. From drug and alcohol addiction to dual diagnosis treatment, we provide a confidential helpline to help people like you get sober and live happy, substance-free lives.
Treatment helped me get my life back. I was so addicted, the only person I could focus on was myself and what I needed. I hit rock bottom and lost everything. Through treatment, I was able to overcome those demons and focus on my family again.
I used until I overdosed and almost died. That was the end of the road for me. After seeking treatment, I now have hope. I learned skills that help me deal with life on life's terms.
800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. That's 800-426-4994.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Investors, keep listening to learn how to get your free gold report. A currency crisis is upon us. The U.S. dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 50 years, but that is changing. It's time to protect your retirement. Decades of reckless borrowing and spending have critically weakened the dollar. The U.S. has become the world's biggest debtor with over $35 trillion in debt. Plus, the dollar's become weaponized. Countries are dumping it. Investors who wait until it's too late could lose big. There is one safe haven: gold. Diversify your portfolio with a physical asset they can't take away. Call the Reagan Gold Group right now and ask for your free gold guide. Here's our number:
800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. That's 800-876-7041.
Excellent.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas at the AMP-TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for upcoming guests, our prior guests, recorded shows which can be found on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, iHeart, Stitcher, Deezer, plus a whole bunch of others. Also, make sure you check out the partners page. Lots of great partners at thesportscircus.com. Our favorite is Al's number one Italian beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. That's 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. Guess what, folks? You don't have to be there to go get that great food either. You can also go to alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com, and you can order your holiday packet. That's right. Get all your supplies before the holidays. Hell, you could do it any day of the week. And frankly, that's the way I get mine because I live so far away. But that is a back home product. I tell you what, folks, if you've never had an Italian beef sandwich, you're really missing out. It's better than any other sandwich you'll probably ever have. And it crushes that so-called good Philly cheesesteak sandwich that people seem to rave about. Yeah, this is a whole different animal. Anyway, check them out at alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com. All right. Welcome back to everybody, TV and radio. You know who you are. And so in the last segment, I was talking a little bit about seed, that number 12 spot. Well, there's another wrench here that can be thrown right into the gears. So let's go to the ACC championship game. Let's go to Duke and Virginia. So Virginia right now is in the driver's seat. However, remember this. If Duke wins that game, it doesn't necessarily guarantee them a slot in that CFP, which likely they wouldn't get because the 5 highest ranked conference championships automatically qualify for the 12-team playoff. And of course, Duke's 7-5 record, they're unranked at this time. They would finish at that point 8-5. They'd get themselves a decent bowl game, but that's about it. Probably one of those older New Year's Day bowl games. I don't even know what the hell that means now. But anyway, a Duke win could potentially, in my opinion, leave the entire ACC again out of the college football playoff. And I just think the ACC is getting really the short end of the stick over and over and over. When does it end? Really, when does it end? Again, the system is broken. But anyway, let's just say Duke wins the game. And now we had that question between North Texas, Tulane, that winner, in the AAC, the American Athletic, and then James Madison in the Sun Belt. So let's forward think. Let's say Duke ends up beating Virginia, and then let's just say that North Texas ends up beating Tulane. Okay. Now, honestly, the only way that game really matters is, I believe, if Virginia wins, then Tulane has to win to maintain their spot. If North Texas wins and Virginia wins, North Texas, they're probably going to get in. However, if James Madison and North Texas are two teams that won their conference tournaments, and let's say Tulane is out, that I believe James Madison would probably sneak in just because of who they beat. And look, when you look at their loss, James Madison's loss to Louisville was a relatively tight game in essentially week number 1 of college football. And then you look at the late October loss of North Texas at home against South Florida, and they get beat by 30. And you say, well, which one is more impressive? I think a good game against Louisville makes a little more sense. They could potentially get there, but remember, the ACC could be completely left out if Duke wins. Now, why does this matter? We're going to go to the betting odds. That's why it matters. So we've done enough of this bracket nonsense, and let's go to the betting odds. All right? And so these games coming up, let's face it, these games are Friday games. And here we go. It's Kennesaw State and Jacksonville State. We have to say it because it's on the card. And Kennesaw opens up plus 1.5. Now they're minus 2.5 at all the casinos and everybody across the board. Kennesaw State is a better squad, and I believe they will win that game. However, let's go to the Sun Belt. It's James Madison against the men of Troy. James Madison should absolutely dismantle the men of Troy, and I don't see them not winning this game by 20 or greater. And frankly, that's where they ought to be. Now, the AAC game that I had mentioned was North Texas and Tulane. So, again, a very good matchup between a couple of really good opponents. And honestly, I'd rather see North Texas win that game. They open up minus 3. And across the board, North Texas is minus 2.5. And when I say across the board, that's the casinos, because we have MGM. BetMGM, I think, is the one that we're looking at. MGM Resorts, we're looking at Caesars Palace, we're looking at the Hard Rock as well. Obviously, all the other hotels, we don't really put them in there right now. Even the online venues, all those, and I never name them because, well, they don't pay me anything either, but I live in Vegas, so I'm going to go ahead and call out the casinos because I can. So everybody's got it at minus 2.5. North Texas should win this game. Anyway, moving on. Over in the Mountain West, a very good matchup between Vegas and Boise State. Now, Boise State opens up minus 3, and now Boise State is minus 3.5 at Hard Rock. They are minus 4.5 at Caesars, minus 4.5 at MGM. So if you are betting on this game, let's face it, you're going to probably, if you're local here in Las Vegas, you probably want to make that wager if you're betting on Boise at the Hard Rock, because the other ones you have to lay an extra point. All right, and that should be one hell of a game, too. And honestly, I believe you can just flip a coin, and who knows what the hell is going to happen there. This is probably the one that I want to watch second the most. Actually, yeah, this is the second one I want to watch, because I want to watch Indiana beat Ohio State. So Texas Tech opens up at 11.5 against BYU. The line right now at all the casinos, well, I can't see all of them, 12.5 at Hard Rock, 12.5 at MGM, and 13 at Caesars. You don't really see the even numbers too often. So because they want somebody to win or lose, and then in some cases ties lose, many ties just push. So that's why they're doing that over at Caesars. But Texas Tech is a really, really good squad. They're good enough to win everything. But Brigham Young's defense is good enough to stifle just about any squad. And you say, well, let's take a quick look at the BYU football, and let's take a look at their losses. And what have they done? Well, we already know who they beat, but let's just say we don't know who beat them. Well, let's find out real quick, because it seems to me that it was Texas Tech that beat them approximately 4 weeks ago. And Texas Tech beat them easily, 29-7. I remember that game. So if that's an indication of what's going to happen in this game, I don't necessarily know because both teams learned a little bit about one another. And that's the only loss BYU has. And when you look at Texas Tech, you say, well, what have they done? Well, we know what they've done. But we also ask, well, what about their schedule? Who did they lose to? So you look back at Texas Tech and you say, well, it looks like Texas Tech lost in mid-October at Arizona State, at Tempe. Now, Arizona State, not a good team. So there's a big question there. So what has each team learned in the last several weeks? I think BYU will keep it closer, but boy, Texas Tech just has so much. But can Texas Tech cover the 13 that Caesar says that they are favored by? I don't think so. I mean, that could be maybe an 8 or 9 point game. But BYU is a good squad, but boy, I don't think they can keep up with Tech. I just don't. All right, moving on. Over in the Mid-American Conference, it's Miami of Ohio playing Western Michigan for the title. That line opened up Western Michigan -3, and the line is 2.5 across the board. Western Michigan is awful tough, but Miami of Ohio, don't discount them. That literally could be a 1-point game. Moving on to the SEC Championship, Alabama. And I believe this game is played in Atlanta at Mercedes Field or whatever they call it nowadays. That's in our broadcast area there for WDJY. And Georgia opens up -1.5, and it's 2.5 across the board right now. And Georgia should win this game. Alabama is a good squad, but I don't think they're Georgia good. I think Kirby Smart's got this one. Duke opens up +2.5 in the ACC Championship game against Virginia. And the line is up to 3.5 across the board. Can Duke beat Virginia? Yes, they can. Duke does play offense, but they also play defense, and Virginia is not a very impressive squad. I think Duke gets one over on them, and if you look at what they've done in the past, you say, well, what has Duke done this season? Well, they've lost 5 games. And out of those 5 games, you say, well, who do they lose to? Well, I'll tell you what. Virginia beat them at Durham, North Carolina, 34-17 just a few weeks ago. So maybe a little payback for Duke in this game. And listen, it's hard to beat the same team twice in one season. And then we finish up with the Big Ten Championship. Indiana opens up +5.5 against Ohio State. That game will be played in Indianapolis. And guess what, folks? That line is down to 3.5 at Hard Rock. I think Indiana's going to win this game straight up. They're going to get out to a lead. They're going to score, and they're going to score often. Those guys from Columbus, I think they take one on the chin here, unless the money says otherwise. Back here in a few minutes on The Circus. Lots more to come. Don't go anywhere.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't, and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. That's 800-298-3173.
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP television. Folks, make sure you check out the store at thesportscircus.com. Lots of great gift ideas coming up for the holidays. And guess what? Hats, hoodies, t-shirts, jackets, coats, sweatpants, blankets, pillows, mouse pads, travel mugs, coffee mugs, you name it. They're all there with the Clever Sports Circus logo on it. And again, if you mention Ringmaster Sal, you'll get 10% off of all purchases from the sportscircus.com's store. Of course, a shameless plug for the circus. And hey, listen, we got bills to pay too, but there's some great items, American-made products embroidered on our clothing items. I tell you what, it's really good stuff. I've got a few of our polo shirts, and they're really cool. I like them because we have a nice big logo in the upper left side looking actually out to the public. Actually, it'd be if you're facing it on the right side. But boy, they are cool. And so who knows? Maybe I'll give one out coming up soon. We'll have to find out. All right. Welcome back again to everybody, our CBS, NBC, and Fox Sports affiliates from coast to coast. Of course, all of our independents, thanks for joining us. Everybody on TV, thanks for joining us. Everybody on Chicago Food Favorites, thanks for joining us there again. Remember, Chicago Food Favorites, fun group. Talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, your favorite recipes on Facebook. Make some friends. Have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. All right. So shifting into the NFL, we have the proverbial hot seat. It's that time of year where coaches are kind of feeling the pinch. And some people are saying, even Fox Sports is saying, well, you know, could Pete Carroll be one and done? So they go on and they say, this is Ralph Vacchiano. We'll say it right, Vacchiano. So Ralph says there are no more safety nets for endangered coaches, nothing that can spare them the wrath of a disappointed owner. They either have a playoff team or a bitter disappointment, and there is rarely room for context in between. And when owners get tired of hearing the boos and starting it, and listen, when they're looking at empty seats, there's a problem. Anything could happen near the end of the season, so don't assume any coach is safe if their team is outside the playoff picture. Now, 2 coaches have already paid the price for failure this season, and there could be some surprises still to come. I don't really think there's surprises, though. And I mean, look, I don't really care however Ralph puts it here. He says there are some coaches. I mean, look, there's always coaches that are potentially facing the fire. And Ralph says from Fox Sports that Mike Tomlin, that's right, Mike Tomlin could be one of those guys. I don't think so. I think Mike Tomlin will be there as long as Mike Tomlin wants to. But he says the Steelers went absolutely all in on a Super Bowl run this year, shelling out money for a veteran team to be led to a promising start and a promising finish, and landed, of course, that 41-year-old quarterback we know as Aaron Rodgers. And unfortunately for them, it has not worked out so far. And Aaron looks done, according to Ralph. And the Steelers' once proud defense looks terrible, and the whole team looked almost disinterested at times. So he says Tomlin is in his 19th season in Pittsburgh, and while the Steelers could still win the AFC North, they are 6-6, and the head coach is very much in danger of recording his first losing season. With all that said, as the backdrop, it's impossible to ignore the rumors around the team and Tomlin. He actually might be headed out of town. So, if it was also impossible to ignore those fire Tomlin chants in the stadium, well, it might give the ownership a little bit of cover to make that kind of big move. Look, again, he's not going anywhere. They're 6-6. They're tied for first. Well, I guess they have the tiebreaker loss. So Baltimore's got the tiebreaker over them, but they still have to play one another. A lot can happen here in the final works. I mean, you've got 5 weeks left in the NFL, and I mean, technically they could finish 11-5. So for Fox Sports to even say something like this, in my opinion, is lunacy. And now they also put Pete Carroll on this list. And listen, Pete is only playing the hand that's dealt to him. And if anybody should be fired, it should be Mark Davis, the owner. They should make him leave, and the general manager should get canned as well. Pete Carroll can only play the hand that's dealt to him. And Pete Carroll, if you're a poker player, if you're a hold'em player, he was dealt a 7-2 offsuit. And what's the best you could do with a 7-2 offsuit? You've got to hope that either you pull 4 7s or pull 4 2s, or a straight flush with one of those, with a high card 7 of whatever he's got in his hand. That's it. That's the only way this could really happen, I think, for Pete Carroll to win. So Pete Carroll, I don't think his job is in jeopardy. Pete Carroll is an excellent coach. Hell, I was hoping the Bears would get him. But then again, I think Johnson's doing a really good job over there in Chicago. So Fox says, did it seem weird that Carroll fired offensive coordinator Chip Kelly with 6 games left in an already lost season? No, it doesn't seem weird. You got to get better during the season. It's real simple. That kind of move an endangered head coach makes when he's trying to sacrifice someone else to preserve his job, is what Fox says. I don't necessarily believe that. So they just say, well, it's all just odd, including the fact that the Raiders seem like a team in need of a rebuild. You think? Well, you bring this guy in there with a couple of pieces because you give away everything else. You've got a rookie running back in Ashton Genty, and then you've got Max Crosby on this squad, which is good, and then you've got a quarterback, but you won't let him play, and ownership says we're paying Geno Smith too much money. We can't let him sit. So we're going to let Aiden O'Connell just sit on the bench, who is a better quarterback than Geno Smith. And unfortunately, you got one guy we got one guy on defense, you got a couple of guys on offense, that's it. What do you expect Pete Carroll to do? I mean, look, Pete is good at what he does, but nobody can be a magician like that. So I don't think Pete's going anywhere. Zach Taylor in Cincinnati, on the other hand, buddy, you should be gone. It's not just you. It should be Zach Taylor, the general manager, and of course you always want to see the owners go with them, but the GM should be the first one to go because they're the ones that are arming this team with tools for the head coach. Well, Zach Taylor hasn't really done a whole hell of a lot as the head coach in the first place. He's got plenty of tools. You've got a great receiving core, a great quarterback, you've got a crap offensive line, and your defense is non-existent. So what do? Well, you're going to have to do something. And it would seem that the only way to get something done would be to get rid of the general manager and Zach Taylor at the same time. I don't see any other way around it for the Bengals. Now, also, Kevin Stefanski made this list from Fox Sports. And they say the mess in Cleveland isn't his fault. Well, largely, I would argue it isn't either. However, most of the Browns' issues can be laid at the feet of the ownership, and all it traces back to the mother of all stupid decisions, the Deshaun Watson deal, which they should have never, ever, ever done, in my opinion. But Stefanski hasn't exactly distinguished himself this season as a great offensive mind, since neither of his rookie quarterbacks, Gabriel or Sanders, have shown much more than limited positive signs. And I would say that Gabriel is still the better quarterback, and that's why you earn the position above Sanders. Sanders, in my opinion, is no better than Michael Penix Jr., who, in my opinion, is a complete and utter bust, just like Justin Fields over in the New York Jets organization. I think Fields, Sanders, and Penix should all probably go bowling together. They are an abomination to the position, and there's a lot more in common that they have besides that, which I don't even want to get into right now. But back to Stefanski. Look, they say he hasn't managed the situation very well, but what is he supposed to do? Like, he and Pete Carroll should probably go bowling. They could switch teams and end up with the same crap. But the one thing that Cleveland has, they have some defensive pieces on that team. That's the one thing that Cleveland does have. And they play in a defensive-minded, largely, nowadays, AFC North. You say, well, geez, what about Cincinnati? No, they don't qualify from a defensive standpoint. Baltimore, they've just fallen asleep at the wheel. And maybe they're starting to wake up a little bit. Who the hell knows? But they probably will end up winning the division, and Pittsburgh will probably eke their way in the playoffs like they always do. Anyway, I don't think Stefanski should be fired. I think the GM should be. Then they say in Miami, Mike McDaniel. Now, there is a possible case. I don't know. I mean, again, you got a guy with a pretty good team down there. Minus, remember, they're playing without Tyreek Hill. He's gone for the year. But he's still, being McDaniels, is still 3 games over 500 in his coaching in the 4 seasons he's been in Miami. And he's been in the playoffs a couple times, too. So not so fast on Mike McDaniels. You got to let that guy slide. Over in Arizona, maybe so. Look, Jonathan Gannon, we have a problem. 15-31 isn't getting it done. Yet the Cardinals are in every game they play. They're probably the best losing record team in the NFL today. I say it. In fact, I said it just a few shows ago or whatnot. But you've got a couple of issues. And what are you going to do with Kyler Murray? We really don't know. Kyler Murray, he's kind of like a video game, but does Kyler Murray maybe go over to Atlanta? Because at some point, Kirk Cousins is going to be done over there. I just don't know why they would sign him for $100 million and then go draft Penix, who's awful. Penix couldn't even play in the Big Ten, so he went out to the Pac-12, lofted his numbers up over there. Then he ended up facing the Big Ten in the championship game. He couldn't do anything against Michigan, against another Big Ten opponent. Penix came from Indiana. He was just terrible. Well, guess what? Maybe Kyler Murray goes over to the Atlanta Falcons. Who knows? But Jonathan Gannon, I think you have a real problem. And here we go, right back to Atlanta. According to Fox Sports, Raheem Morris, they say he's right at the top of the list. And they say he's rocketed to the top of the list with 6 losses in 7 games, despite having one of the most electric players in the NFL in Bijan Robinson. I would agree. And on the one hand, the stretch isn't as bad as it seems. The Falcons took the Colts and the Panthers to overtime and only lost to New England by a point. Okay, tight games are one thing. Wins and losses are what matters in the league. So, Raheem Morris, I don't know if you're going to get canned, but I do believe that maybe the GM should be disciplined by making some really, really bad moves. I do like the Bijan Robinson deal. I like Kirk Cousins. I just don't think the Penix deal probably should have got him fired. Anyway, it doesn't really matter at this point. We'll have to see what happens in the no-fun league, and that's the National Football League, or maybe it should say Nuclear Financial League. I don't really know what that means. Anyway, that's going to do it for the circus today. I'm your Ringmaster Sal. We'll see you in 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
Finding great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.